Look, the entire hunting industry thinks you have to buy legacy American or premium European brands to get a serious hunting rig capable of dropping big game. But that outdated brand loyalty is just draining your wallet for a stamped logo while you lug around a massive 12-pound anchor in the deep brush. Because while you are dropping $2,000 on a complex bolt action just to impress the fanboys at the local range. The real backcountry woodsmen are packing ultra-light Turkish break actions engineered with absolute metallurgical precision that hits like a runaway freight train. And if you think you need a high-capacity magazine to neutralize a single target, then you just need more time at the range. Kicking things off at number 5, we have the Yildiz TK and Elegant series. Most budget single shots look like they were carved out of a recycled park bench with a dull hatchet. Not this one. This rig brings old-school craftsmanship back to the woods without making you take out a second mortgage. You are getting select Turkish walnut and a deeply blued barrel that looks like it belongs in a premium collector cabinet. Under the hood, the engineering is what actually keeps you in the fight. It features an aerospace-grade 70-75 aluminum receiver mated perfectly to a 4140 steel barrel. That specific combination is critical because it keeps the overall mass hovering right around 5 pounds for hauling through steep terrain. Meanwhile, that hardened steel chamber safely contains the massive pressure spikes of modern 3-inch Magnum loads without stretching the frame. This thing eats 12 gauge, 20 gauge, and 410 bore for breakfast. Honestly, let's talk about the downside because it is not perfect. The lockup on these straight out of the factory box is incredibly stiff. You really have to muscle that top lever to crack the action open. That becomes a massive pain if your hands are freezing solid in a late season blind. And when you finally pull the trigger, it breaks like a rusty gate hinge. The pull is heavy and a little gritty before it finally snaps, because it is so incredibly light. Firing heavy game loads means the recoil hits your shoulder like a swinging cinder block. The damage to your wallet is almost nothing, setting you back anywhere from $150 to $250. It is a classy piece of gear that delivers serious terminal performance when you need a lightweight upland or survival tool. This is solid, but wait until you see the monster at number 1. Now we get serious about ultra-minimalist survival gear. Sliding into the number 4 slot is the Charles Daly 101 folding platform. When you are humping 30 miles into the backcountry, every single ounce matters. This rig tips the scales at an incredibly light 4.22 pounds for the short-barreled 410 bore. It literally folds completely in half so you can stash it discreetly inside a standard hiking pack or under the seat of your truck. Looking closely at the action, it uses a purely mechanical extractor instead of an automatic spring-loaded ejector. Instead of violently throwing your empty plastic over your shoulder into the mud, a steel cam simply lifts the fired shell a fraction of an inch out of the chamber. This mechanism allows you to manually pluck the hull out silently, which is absolutely critical if you are reloading your own brass or trying to maintain total noise discipline in the deep woods. It slings 12 gauge, 20 gauge, and 410 bore downrange with extreme prejudice. But listen, here is the deal breaker you need to know before buying one. The 12 gauge version has an absolutely brutal flaw when it comes to the ergonomics and the build. They slapped a cheap, rigid plastic butt plate on the back instead of a proper rubber pad. Firing heavy defensive slugs through a 4-pound frame kicks like a startled draft horse. It will leave you bruised and flinching if you run it wet and heavy all day. The trigger brake feels mushy, almost like stepping on a rotten apple. but it goes bang every single time. Sound off below if you trust a folder like this in your bug-out bag. Street price sits right around 130 to 200 bucks. For that kind of cash, it is a disposable insurance policy that delivers brutal terminal performance when the grid goes down. Entering the elite tier, we are looking at the American Tactical Imports Nomad series, specifically the Nomad Turkey variant. Built over in Torun and brought to the States, this rig is designed for the highly mobile hunter. Weighing in right around 5.5 pounds, it gives you a 23-inch vent-ribbed barrel. That is a massive upgrade over the stubby pipes you typically see on generic truck guns. Under the hood, it utilizes a passive hammer block system. This means the hammer physically cannot touch the firing pin unless the trigger is deliberately pulled all the way to the rear. If you slip and drop this weapon on jagged rocks while hiking, that internal block prevents a catastrophic accidental discharge. When you do take the shot, the single-stage trigger cracks like thin ice. The recoil from a heavy magnum shell shoves you like an angry linebacker, but the terminal performance is undeniable. Feeds on 12-gauge, 20-gauge, and 410 bore with 3-inch magnum chambers. It comes factory equipped with a see-through Picatinny saddle mount that allows you to throw a micro red dot on top, which is absolutely mandatory when you are running high-density tungsten super shot. That dense payload acts more like a solid rifle bullet at close range, so your aiming margin of error is basically zero. Let's be real about the downside. Eats heavy hunting loads like a champ, but that mechanical shell extractor gets incredibly sticky when you run cheap low-brass target ammo. You will find yourself prying the empty hulls out with your fingernails if you cheap out on birdshot. But honestly, for a dedicated woods tool that you only fire once when it matters, who really cares? This setup sets you back exactly 169 bucks. It is a rugged, optic ready-tack driver that democratizes precision turkey hunting for everyone. Stepping up the game into the elite tier, we are swapping that air rifle for a real fire breather, the Derya single barrel series. Born in the high-tech, vertically integrated factories of Turkey, this rig is a true powerhouse that does not play games with your survival. It gives you the same lightweight portability you want in the brush, but with the undeniable terminal performance of a modern centerfire or shotgun shell. Looking at the guts of this machine, the engineering is all about that 7075 aircraft-grade aluminum receiver and the 4140 chrome moly steel barrel. Derya uses a specific monoblock construction for their single-shot platforms, where the barrel and the locking lugs are machined from a single solid piece of steel instead of being pinned or welded together. This matters because it eliminates a major point of mechanical failure under high pressure, ensuring that even after hundreds of heavy rounds, the lockup remains as tight as a bank vault. This rig slings 12-gauge, 20-gauge, and 410 bore downrange with extreme prejudice. The trigger is surprisingly crisp for a budget woods gun, snapping cleanly like a dry twig at around 5 pounds. It features a manual external hammer that you have to cock for every shot, which forces you to slow down and make every single squeeze count. It is the ultimate tool for the mobile hunter who values a simple, rugged manual of arms over a complex and fragile semi-auto system. Honestly, let's talk about the deal breaker, because nothing is perfect. While the metal work is top shelf, the synthetic furniture feels like it was recycled from a cheap milk crate. The hollow plastic stock has a nasty habit of echoing like a drum every time it taps against a branch or a rock in the woods, which is a total nightmare for stealthy stalking. You will likely want to fill that stock with foam or a rag just to keep it quiet when you're moving through the timber. The damage to your wallet is light, usually setting you back anywhere from 150 to 200 bucks. Taking the absolute top spot on this list is the Retay Gamelander series. Here is the deal. This rig gives you the lightweight mechanical reliability of the Charles Daly at number 4, but with a precision machined barrel that puts the Yildiz at number 5 to absolute shame. It is the undisputed king because it successfully bridges the gap between a rugged survival tool and a match-grade centerfire hunting instrument. Slings 350 Legend, 450 Bushmaster, and 6.5 Creedmoor downrange with terrifying consistency. It also feeds on 20 gauge and 410 bore if you are chasing spring turkeys. Look, most budget rifles use cheap button rifling. Retay utilizes a proprietary dead-straight deep bore drilled barrel instead of rapidly hammering the steel, which introduces microscopic warping and internal stress. They slowly drill the bore directly from a solid bar of 4140 steel. This vastly more expensive process guarantees perfect barrel harmonics and concentricity, delivering devastating terminal performance out of the box. When you finally press that trigger, it snaps cleanly, like stepping on a dry pine cone in the dead of winter. Fire in those heavy, straight-walled centerfire cartridges usually destroys your shoulder in a lightweight frame, but the Gamelander uses an internal air pocket recoil pad. That proprietary system actively absorbs and delays the rearward kinetic energy, taming the kick from an angry mule into a firm but polite shove. Weighing between 6.7 and 8.4 pounds depending on your exact setup, it is incredibly easy to pack into the deep woods. The damage to your wallet is shockingly low, coming in right at $399. That completely exposes the inflated pricing of legacy American brands and secures its place at the top of the food chain. There you have it, the definitive list of Turkish single shots dominating the woods this year. Stop buying overpriced safe queens just to impress the guys at the local range. Get a reliable tool that actually puts meat on the table when the weather turns brutal. Train hard, stay safe, and I will see you downrange.